Hello, my friend, and welcome to Disney Travel Secrets. Rob and Kerri Stuart here, coming to you from the Creating Magic Vacation studio right next to Disney in beautiful Windermere, Florida. You're listening to episode number 374, original air date April 15th, 2024.
And this week's topic is a listener favorite, and that is 7 ways to save money on your Walt Disney World vacation.
Plus a brand new service that we're offering our clients that we have never done before, and most agencies are not offering this service. Stay tuned to find out more.
Yeah, I think you're going to like it.
Hello, my friends. This is former Disney Imagineer Hugh Darley, and you're listening to Disney Travel Secrets with my friends Rob and Kerri Stuart. As you can imagine, I have plenty of Disney secrets myself, and I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get this show on the road. Take it away, guys.
Hello there, and thank you for listening. Or if you're watching, we have all of our recent shows up on our YouTube channel, Disney Travel Secrets. And before we get into the recent Disney DAS Pass controversy,
huge controversy.
It is big.
Yeah.
Let's talk about starting your travel business with us. In the past, we brought on people in usually 2 groups per year, one in the spring and one in the fall, and we're changing that. As of right now, you can join us whenever you are ready.
What we realized was doing it in groups meant that many of you were sometimes waiting for months and may have gotten a little bit antsy. And so you just didn't want to wait. And maybe you went with another company, or maybe the thrill of becoming a travel advisor specializing in Disney just kind of went away. Well, we get that. That's on us. So we are always tweaking to figure out how we can best serve you.
We're also doing something that no other agency does. If we're not a fit because of our startup investment, which is 100% worth it, but sometimes out of reach for some people, we totally get that. We will give you recommendations on other agencies that you can join, other agencies that we personally know that might have a smaller startup cost. But let's talk about who we are looking for.
Yeah. And also keep in mind that with our startup package, you get a ticket to our Agent Palooza event, which is so fun. This will be our 7th one.
It's a very popular event.
It is. And that one does include 3 nights at our Disney Contemporary Resort room block. And so that's really cool because a lot of times staying at a deluxe is a special experience. So you can probably imagine that we're not just a few $100s to start, though, because it does include a lot of stuff on top of that.
I'm sure they can get that part exactly. So head on over to creatingmagicvacations.com, click on the Join Us button, and fill out the information. Step 1, you'll watch a video, which will give you a kind of a 35,000-foot overview of what we do. And the next step is our assistant Clarissa will set up a phone call with me. We can go over the basics where you can ask even more in-depth questions.
Yeah. So how about that exciting announcement that we have, though, for our listeners?
And
that means you, especially if you want to plan some big vacations.
The big announcement is that coming in the very near future, we've partnered with a company that can finance your startup package with us, and you can just pay it over time. I do not know of any other agency that does this. We're very excited to make that announcement.
Yeah. And really on top of that, though, is we always want you to fast track and figure out how to dive in as a travel advisor. So with our training, we know that, that will probably be absolutely no problem to recoup your investment with work. That's for sure.
This week's shout out is to our friends, Mark and Tracy. It's kind of funny. We're all from St. Louis. We didn't meet until we were down here. We didn't physically meet in person until this past week. We're at the Celebration Exotic Car Festival in, of course, Celebration, the town that Disney built. And we love this. Our 2nd year doing this, and it benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, it was a super fun event. So it's always fun to see our friends out there. And it was nice to finally spend some time with Mark and Tracy in person.
And they do live right up the street from us. We just never had gotten around to meeting in person. And Mark is a Disney cast member. He is one of the heads of the costuming. So any of the Disney costumes, insert uniforms, any of those. He's the one that kind of runs it, I think. He makes a lot of posts about it. Really cool guy. Now, a quick mention about the Celebration Exotic Car Festival. It's the first weekend of April every year. This is our 2nd year in a row. The best car driving experience ever. We entered one of our cars in it.
You won an award, so congratulations.
I know. My 2-door Maserati got an award. The best part is leaving Celebration, for those of you who've been there, we go on to World Drive, onto I-4, and then up on 429. And up until exit 13 on 429, starting in Celebration, we had a police escort the entire time. And the cool part was they actually shut down I-4 for about a half a mile to get us from World Drive over to 429.
And that's like my favorite part of the whole thing.
It is the best part of the entire weekend. And
so fun.
We're driving up 429, and they have the motorcycle officers blocked off the entrances onto the northbound 429. And people they're used to this. They're out of their cars, standing there, taking pictures as we drove by.
Yeah, because there were a lot of exotic cars. So it actually is very, very special for sure.
And I got to see again a person I love to watch perform, and that is Bruce Hall from REO Speedwagon, whose wife also happens to be a Disney cast member.
She's a 29-year cast member, and she said she's definitely going to make it until her 30th.
So congrats to Kimmy Hall.
Yeah, that's so fun. So we are wrapping up the spring break season here in Orlando, which also means that now is the time when people are starting to plan their fall, their holiday, and their 2025 spring break trips.
And when it comes to traveling, especially Disney, there are a few different types of travelers. The first one is kind of the cash credit buyer. They might have the cash to do it, but they'll put it on a credit card, especially if they're getting points. And this type of traveler will generally, if they put it on a card, they'll either pay it in full when they do the final payment, or they pay the card off immediately. And this works best for people that have a travel or a miles credit card, not necessarily cash back, which also works, but usually this is for people that have like an airline credit card or something that gives them travel miles.
Yeah, we definitely have some clients who they just are like, I just want to pay off the whole thing way in advance. They don't really care. Now, the second type is the traveler, and this I'd say is the majority of people.
This is, yeah.
And they are the ones that will put down a deposit, and then they will make small payments over time, or maybe once a quarter will make a payment. And really, in that case, sometimes for us, it's just a simple text message. Sometimes we'll set them up on automatic payments with certain cruise lines just to make it simple, but you get to pick what that amount is. And so you definitely have some control there, but it helps kind of spread that out before your final payment is due.
There are also people that will put it on their credit card and not pay it off right away. They make their credit card payments long after they've traveled, and usually at a very high interest rate. So now at Creating Magic Vacations, we have another way. We have partnered with a company called Uplift. Uplift does work a lot of travel companies, and now we've been added to that list. Again, for travel industry people, not as much agency. So through Uplift, you can now finance your vacation for up to 2 years at usually much lower interest rates than the credit cards.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool about this is sometimes that will help put in reach that Adventures by Disney trip that maybe you want to do next summer, but you're like, that's going to be a little bit of a stretch, or maybe you're preparing for your honeymoon. I know a lot of weddings are going to be happening this summer, and so something to just consider. And so we're super excited to be able to offer that to you, our listeners. Regardless of how you pay for your vacation, one thing I think all travelers have in common is, how can I save money on my trip? Or how can I get the best experience and also feel like I got a deal?
And so we're going to start with the top 7 ways to save money on your trip. It could be Disney. We're talking Disney specifically. It could be any trip. But we've said this for years. And again, it's really true for Disney vacations. Use a travel agent that specializes in Disney. And best case scenario is an authorized Disney vacation planner. That's something that in the industry we call earmarked. Agencies with that very special designation are held to a higher standard with Disney. All of our agents are required to go through the College of Disney Knowledge with yearly updates.
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed just even this past week, Disney came out with a ton of specials. And we're talking stacks on stacks on stacks. And so
stacks.
Yeah, so you had like the free dining offer for Disney Visa card holders. You had up to 30% off for certain dates. You have like these special 4 and 3 day tickets. It's a lot to navigate. So if you're serious about not just maybe saving money, but also plussing up your experience and saving time, definitely work with a travel advisor who understands Disney, because some of those, I mean, I've seen some people come to me and they're like, hey, I think I should get this deal. And I was like, oh, no, because the experience you wanted is this, and that ticket is going to limit you. You won't be able to have the same experience. So Disney always is making these offers to help save you money. And it's up to you to figure out how to navigate them, but why not just leave that to the pros?
This kind of goes back to the last show we did, where it's where do you get your Disney information from? And I know there's a whole plethora of new companies coming out in some what's called the direct selling multi-level marketing industry. And there's a specific company, I know some people in that company, and they are making posts like, oh, travel at wholesale rates instead of retail. And I reached out to one of them privately and just said, you guys can't say that, especially when you're using a Disney example. There's no such thing as a wholesale versus a retail price in our industry. But that shows you there's a lot of new people coming into the business that really don't know what they're doing. So that, again, work with an authorized Disney vacation planning agency.
Yeah. So let's dive into these 7 ways to help you save money on your vacation. And this first one is a fun one. We've talked about this for probably the past 8 years, I think, on this show.
Or 7, close enough.
Yeah, or 7, whatever it is. Okay, 7. And this is to use Disney gift cards, because if you purchase them, sometimes they're specials at Sam's Club or like maybe, what's the other one? BJ's. And also the Target
Costco, I
Red
think,
Card
yeah.
and Costco, where you can save 5%. And that 5% really adds up. Now, one little word of caution here. If you have to cancel your trip and you want to get a refund as opposed to applying it to a future trip, the refund does go back on those on the gift cards.
We recommend, kind of consolidating them together into
As much as you can.
the smallest number possible. I think it was
It's
$500.
$1,000.
It's $1,000.
Yep.
So you don't want to have 40 $100 cards. You'd rather have 4 $1,000 cards.
But that really adds up, though, because just that 5% savings could be the justification for you adding Memory Maker or having a really nice character meal. So definitely keep that in mind.
Next up is, again, something we've been talking about for a long time, and that is book early and get your room deposited. Our motto is it's always better to have a reservation that you don't need or you have to move and you can cancel than to wait and say, well, I'm not sure about the dates. I don't know if I want this resort. It's better to have it and not need it to need it and you can't get it.
And this really falls into play if you want to participate in any of the Run Disney events, because a lot of people will wait to see if they get their bibs. And if you wait too long, what happens is everybody else is doing that. And so as soon as they get their bib, then they go on and they are booking the resort. And some of them with the better pricing fill up really fast, or the better location.
That's a great point, because if you're waiting to see if you get a bib, and this is something that really happens in all these Run Disney events. If you're waiting to see if you get a bib, other people are doing it a little bit smarter. They're depositing their room, and if they don't get a bib, they can always cancel it or just make it a regular vacation. They can move it, they can do whatever. But that gives them that flexibility.
Yeah, and if you're worried about missing out on a special offer, like all the ones that came out this past week, the thing is that we as travel advisors can always adjust if that special rate is available for your dates. And so you have nothing to lose when you book early. It's actually some of our smartest clients. They do this because they go to the same week every year. And as soon as it opens up, we grab the perfect resort and the location in the resort that they want.
Something else we do is we'll go and we'll look at the date range for when those specials are. And then we'll go back and see which client it would be beneficial for. And it doesn't mean it's always that you want to save money, even though you could. Sometimes you just want to upgrade the experience. Maybe you go from, a moderate to a deluxe because the price is the same, but now your experience is, as we say, plussed up.
Yeah, one of my favorites is moving from like that resort view, which just means you have zero view, to maybe a theme park view or
parking
water
lot view. Those are fun too.
Never go to a parking lot view. But yeah, there's definitely a way to take advantage of some of those specials, but book early with or without a special. Super important.
So tip number, I don't know if this is 3 or 4.
It's number 3.
It's 3. They're not numbered.
Number 3.
They're not numbered on here. That is food and snacks, especially if you have kids and they have certain snacks that they like. Number 1, it's going to save you time by just having them in your park bag or your stroller, whatever you're using. Have some of their favorites, because now not only do they have their favorite snacks, you're not waiting in long lines to get the other things that we got to say this, in the Disney parks, everything is more expensive. So bring a supply of those things so you can save time and money.
Yeah, and I really like this money saving tip when it comes to breakfast, because breakfasts in the park are hard. There are not a lot of places that are open until maybe 10:30 or 11. So if you just, do an Instacart delivery, have it delivered to your resort, and then you can just bring that in with you. And so that is a very, very good way to save money on your Disney vacation.
Coming in number 4, plan ahead for your dining. And I will say, unless it's very, very important to the kids, skip some of those character meals, because those can get they're the priciest breakfast or priciest meals you can get.
Yeah. And one of the things about planning ahead for your meals is I always like to say at least have one special meal during your vacation. It's always fun. There's so many great restaurants on Disney property, but when you plan things out, then you can say, you know what, we're going to mobile order, or you know what, maybe we want to do Woody's barbecue, but then you realize that you have to pay for everybody. And if you have a family and you have little ones and they are not big eaters, paying $25, $35 per kid is a little ridiculous when it comes to food they're not going to eat. So just coming up with that strategy and, identifying some of the ones. Rob and I share a lot of meals. It's one of the ways that we kind of plan ahead, and we will know that, if we really want to splurge and go to a place that has a prefix menu, we are going to be spending a pretty penny. So we try to avoid that, but some of that just comes in handy when it comes to planning, which kind of goes back to our number 3.
Wait, they're not numbered, but I think, 3.
Yeah, number 3, which was, and if you want and you're planning it out, you could still bring in your own food and snacks. And Disney has some really great food, though.
They do. Number 5 on our tips is set a budget for the kids' souvenirs. Also show them how to use it. A lot of times, kids don't understand how money works, especially if they're, 5, 6, 7. Teach them about money. That's something, it's a very important life lesson, a life skill in general. And say you have this much to spend. And then when they want something, say, okay, after that, you're going to have this much to spend. So it's also a very good math lesson.
Yeah, I really like that for teaching kids how to use money and how to understand how budgets work, especially when it comes to vacations. They will appreciate learning this life skill. And number 6, and this is one that can save you a lot of money. It does come with a couple things you should know, and that is to consider traveling during the off season. And by off season, right now at Disney, things are busy all year long, but there are a couple times during the year when it always dips, and it dips for a good reason. One of the least expensive months to visit Florida is going to be September. But you know what else September is?
Hurricane season.
Peak hurricane
I
season.
knew that one.
And the last couple of years, we definitely have had some storms that have rolled through. And so it does affect your vacation. But if you are up for saving some money, but you're okay if a hurricane comes through and maybe modifying or moving your trip, keep that in mind. You can save some money. The other times are also like before schools get out. So like May sometimes has some good months, or some not good months, but some good days.
Right.
And then sometimes in January, although that one with convention season now fully back in swing, doesn't always hold true for getting some really great deals.
Well, if you're going to be anywhere near Florida and a hurricane is predicted to come through, probably one of, not even probably, the safest place to be in this area in Central Florida absolutely is Disney. And sometimes that hurricane may be predicted to come through. Oh, it's going to hit, I can't tell you how many times we're in Tampa Bay. The hurricane's going to hit you guys and it swings to Orlando, or it's going to hit Orlando and it swings, a different direction. But pay attention to that, because if that falls within the dates that you're going to be coming down here, come to Disney anyway. I'm saying this.
You may miss a day in the
you
park.
might miss a couple days,
Yeah.
but it's also, it's safe because of the way Disney was built, but also the parks will be very empty. Back in the day, we used to be able to rely on crowd calendars and say, okay, here are the weeks. And Disney figured that out. They started throwing Run Disney events. They expanded, but there are still some very, what we say, lower crowd times throughout the year, and we can help you with that.
Yep. Okay, number 7. And this is one some of you are going to go like, oh, I hate when people say this, but this is actually a really good thing to do and to consider.
Yes, I promise you, every single one of you listening to the show or watching us here on YouTube,
Ourselves included.
Because we're watching ourselves on a little monitor, is sell stuff. I promise you, you have things that you either don't want or don't need, but someone else does. We have even some minor electronic stuff that we hire our nephew, Michael, out in Utah. We hire him to sell stuff, and then we just ship them. But a couple examples, when we moved in here, and we have a Traeger grill. Some of you may know that. I love the smoker. And there's also a grill here that I couldn't even tell if it worked. It didn't have a propane tank. I'm like, I'm going to throw it up on Facebook Marketplace. And my deadline was like 5 o'clock the next day. And at 3 o'clock, I put it up there for $50. I didn't care because I was going to wheel it out. It was on a Wednesday, because that's right here in Orange County where they pick up the stuff they can't fit in a trash can. And I remember a guy calls me at 3 o'clock, and I had my neighbor, hey, I'm going to have somebody come pick up the grill, pull it off the curb, and put it back in our driveway. It was $50, but it was an easy $50. Even we had a ton of moving boxes.
Yeah, when we moved, we had a lot of moving boxes.
And we might
left.
even have a few more that are, still filled. And I talked to my organizer. I said, hey, we're going to hire you to do some more organizing anyway. If I give you these boxes back, because now you can reuse them. And she said, I can reuse them for my client. So she gave us a portion of the cost of the boxes back. And on top of it, took them out. I guarantee we have a sofa right now that will not fit where we wanted to put it. A very nice leather powered dual recliner. I'm throwing it up on Facebook Marketplace. So you have things all over your house that, again, we don't know what you have, but I promise you, you have stuff that other people will pay for. And the bonus is not just the money part, It'll help declutter your house.
Yeah. And I know like my niece at the end of every year after like prom and the end of her school year, she sells the dresses because she's like, I'm not going to necessarily wear them again. And so keep that in mind as you're closing out and doing your spring cleaning, all of those things you sell. Hey, you may sell enough that you can like upgrade yourself to the Poly Club level for your next Disney vacation, right?
Wouldn't that be nice?
For sure. So there are 7 great ways to help you save money on your Disney vacation. But when it does come to saving money, keep this in mind. Time is money when you are at Disney World. And so also use some of the tools that Disney has to help you save time in the parks. And I know some of them come with a little expense, but it's worth it to enhance your experience. And those things are things like
Genie and Genie Plus, and sometimes Lightning Lane. But a big one for a time saver, if you're going to pay the same amount of money, a big time saver is mobile order. We've been using this for, I think, 5+ years.
ever since they launched it, we've been using it.
And I remember one of the first times we used it was over in Pandora, over in Animal Kingdom. And there were 40, 50 people in line. We walked in and grabbed our stuff, and people looking at,
They're like, how
how
did
you do that? Now everybody knows about it, but a lot of people still don't use it.
Yeah, and you can really schedule your day too. And you can say, hey, I want to have lunch between noon and 12:30. And so you can pick your window in the morning. It saves you so much time. And what that opens up is more time to go and enjoy more of the parks, the entertainment, and some of the rides. So keep that in mind when it comes to saving money, that saving time is also going to enhance your overall vacation experience.
And also the time saving is also going to help you with stress.
Yes. And if planning your Disney vacation does stress you out, then reach out to us or one of our Creating Magic Vacations travel advisors so that we can help offload all of that stress. This is what we do all day long. And so we know the ins and outs, so you don't have to navigate all this craziness. Plus, you have a partner there to help bounce ideas off. And if you read something on Facebook, which we know you all do, then we can tell you right away if that is good information or bad information.
Thanks again for listening, or in some cases, watching. Make sure you join us next week when we're going to talk about the top restaurants in Disney, plus a few that won't break the bank. We're also going to talk about the Michelin star restaurant here at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, we're going to do this kind of fun. Rob and I are going to be doing a blind list. So we're each going to list our individual top 5.
Did we discuss this?
We did. We're going to make it more fun. We're on video now, so we got to have a little more fun.
Fine. And again, thanks for joining us. Until next time, have a magical day.
We hope to see you real soon.